gonna go over like many alts today. I got the recording started as well for those that couldn't make it. But mainly I want to go over Bitcoin, I want to go over ETH, maybe like a few major alts, so on and so forth. And then after that, we'll look at the actual macro charts, right? We'll look at total one, total two, so on and so forth. See what the market is saying. I've not looked at everything holistically in a long time. It's been a few weeks, so let's see what's happened basically to everything. ETH against BTC is still holding up surprisingly well. Like, it's really funny to see. Below this, of course, just be careful. Below this, there's always a chance you come back down towards 0.032, and if that happens, right, alts are going to have a quick flash crash along with ETH against BTC, in my opinion. But if ETH against BTC can recover here, then I think honestly, like, everything's going to go straight back into the green again. But we'll see, right? This, locally speaking, I think we actually already talked about this in one of the streams we did, but we've already identified the inverted smiley here, right? So we had a 4-hour seller zone right over here. There you go. Initial resistance, massive raid on liquidity, reconfirmation of resistance with trap traders, right? So we know that this was a completely legit trap traders inverted smiley, i.e. local distributive structure, right? Locally speaking, we've had play out to the downside now. So let's see what happens, right? We've taken out these local lows, we've retested what was once resistance as support. So as long as this holds, there could literally just be another higher low before we go higher, right? So let's see what happens here. But which one am I deleting? I'm deleting this one, yeah. Okay. But ETH against BTC, like I've been saying, this is the main chart to watch for right now, right? Because you can see what happens when ETH against BTC, like, you know, has weakness. As soon as ETH against BTC shows weakness, alts absolutely die, right? It doesn't really matter what Bitcoin does at this stage, right? We're not in Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin isn't my biggest holding or anything like this in terms of a trade, right? Forget things that's in a ledger and cold storage for, like, you know, as an actual investment. I don't care about that. I'm never selling that. But as a trade, we don't really have much open here, right? The only thing I've open is a portion of my swing from 39k. That's the only thing I've got open on Bitcoin. Right, apart from that, the short around 119, right, we were in all the way from back over here. But apart from those, there's not much to do with Bitcoin, right? The thing is, people are going to be losing their minds over this PA, and yes, I can understand why they are. It's like every single time we go red, people are like, oh, is it the top? Is it the top? We look like we've topped out, so on and so forth. But for example, let's take a look at this firstly in terms of buy-seller zones, right? So 2024 high, we're still above it, we're currently retesting it. Okay, so as long as 2024 high support, we've hit our first key level that needs to be tested, right? This is your confirmed yearly level, our last confirmed yearly level, in fact, because 2025 has not closed yet. Right, so the last confirmed yearly level, we're at there right now, which is the 2024 high, 108,287.62. If you see strength coming in here, if you see aggressive sellers not being rewarded, you can take scalp to swings off this, you can take scalps off this, or, you know, I wouldn't personally recommend swinging it. You can if you can still try and take swings if you want, but I'd stick to either just scalping or scalp to swinging, right? Because in my opinion, Bitcoin still had, like I said, Bitcoin's been in a market that's been uptrending since 2022, right? This is not an area where you're going to be looking for swing trades to the upside. It's just not. It doesn't matter if you've had a dip, scalp to swings or scalps is the way to go, right, for Bitcoin. You're not going to be entering here and looking to enter like big swing trades, basically. But scalp to swings or scalps, your first level, 108,287.62. That's based solely off yearly levels, right? If we now throw on other time frames, we can see what we are also doing is retesting our last 6-month candle. Okay, so the last 6-month candle, so i.e. our now latest biannual close, this is the most recent higher time frame close that we've had, because until this month closes, the 4-month hasn't closed yet, right? So 4 months going to close in 2 days and 5 hours, but until then, what we have is a confirmed 6-month close, is the last higher time frame close that we've had, right? And in terms of that, what we are currently doing is retesting, finally, that 6-month seller zone that was created in the first half, right? That is what we are currently retesting. So again, as long as we flip this area into support, we are fine. If we do not, and we start doing this, right, considering where we are, if we go down and start turning this into resistance, that is where you'd look for, again, scalp to swing. That's the next area, rather, where you look for scalps or scalp to swing trades to the downside, right, not to the upside, right? But here's the key levels you're working with, right? As long as this area is held as support, right, I think Bitcoin carries on higher. I think we push up. I think Bitcoin puts in one more. I'm not going to say it's definitely going to go to like 130k, so on and so forth, but challenge these highs once more. That's what I'd want to see, right, from these lows. And give us that rally into like the final push up basically before we get that sort of blow off top. And that's what I really expect alts to explode, right? The next time Bitcoin has that rally to the upside and consolidates, that's what I really expect alts to have that like blow off top, right? And then after that, I think that'd be the cycle done and dusted, honestly. It's really hard to hold alts, right? I completely understand the feeling for this, right? Now, if you guys entered with me when we did the challenge accounts, we're still like 30-40% up on SUI, say, so on and so forth, right? Some things are at break even, like AVAX. Ondo's up only about 12%, but SUI, say, ENA is still up like 80%. You know, SUI is up 38% right now. Say still up another like 34% right now, I think, right? So we're still in the green in our spot bags. It's not really a concern for us. The thing here is this, right? Because I see many people losing their minds over alt season. Don't forget, alt season isn't this like glorified sort of phase in the market where you're going to make money for like months and months and months on end, right? Compared to the rally that Bitcoin's going to have, ETH's going to have, so on and so forth. Your actual altcoins, where you're talking like, you know, things in Total 3, things in others, right? So on and so forth. They could put in your 5x's, 2x's, 3x's, 5x's, 10x's within a span of a week to a month max, right? You could be looking at a window that is extremely, extremely narrow. That doesn't invalidate the fact that you had an alt season. What you're looking at is percentage returns, right? You could get one massive rotation where everything pumps, and that is what you are positioning for if you are still looking at altcoins, right? And I think we still get it, which is why I'm still holding my altcoins, right? We've taken profits on things that have 2x'd, right? Everything else I've not really touched. It's just, you know, stop losses are break even, and I'm just holding, right? Because it's spot. I don't really care what's going to happen. On swings, if you're swing trading, on leverage, again, there's many positions where green in, just put your stop loss to break even. If you get stopped out, you get stopped out. No stress. We can look for other entries, right? However, don't fall into this trap of thinking like, that alt season is going to be this magical thing that's going to last for 6 months, so on and so forth, right? Typically, that's not how alt season works. The reason alt season is so is so sought after is because it's where the most money is made. It's where people make life-changing money, right? Majority of the people that make life-changing money make it through alt season, but very few actually do. Everyone is after that holy grail, right? Everyone is after alt season, but it takes a lot of blood, a lot of sweat to get to that phase of the market where we're in a period where everything is just exploding, absolutely nonsensical, right? Just straight green candles to the upside. You know, a week you're putting 2x's in. So I mean, that's what it was like up until the last cycle, even 2021, right? So if this follows even anything like the previous cycles have done, I wouldn't be surprised even if the alt season was over within like a month or something, right? What we are positioning for and what we are, absolutely doing our best to maintain discipline and emotional control for is to be positioned when of course it's if, but under the thesis that if your thesis is I think we're still going to get that alt season, is to be positioned for that particular phase of the market. Right? If your thesis is we're not going to get alt season, then you just run with whatever you have. You put your stop loss to break even, you don't look back. Right? It's what it is. My thesis is I still think we get that final blow off top after a bit of blood. Right? So I'm still holding my spot for that very reason. Like whatever little let's say 20%, 30% drawdowns you might have for anyone that bought higher than we did. Right? So if anyone came in and like top blasted the hell out of every single coin, then whatever drawdown that you're going to have is of course going to be painful, right? It's going to be painful because those weren't bottom entries, right? Obviously, after you enter markets that have already moved up by a significant amount, there's going to be cooling down periods, right? But let's say even altcoins go down like a collective 20, 30, 40% from here, whatever, right? The benefit of being in spot over leverage is you're not going to get blown out on spot, right? You're not going to get blown out on spot. But my thesis is I still think we're going to get that final blow off top sometime, right? PCE came in as expected. I believe that was earlier today, right? That means that the Fed's projected, the probability of the Fed cutting rates in September is still around 80%. That's not changed, right? So, should that happen, we could get a final push up even, right? So what's the date today? It's the 29th. Between now and whatever the next FOMC is, when's the next FOMC? Is it the 14th of September? Or is it like am I just thinking of a random date? But whenever the next FOMC meeting is, we could get like a insane pump up to that, right? Some sort of insane pump up to that, or we could dump going into that and then pump. Who knows, right? We don't know. But if rates are cut, right? If rates are cut, then of course that's going to. Well, we all know what that means, right? We should, in theory, be getting those green candles after the rate cuts come in, but. That's my thesis still, right? We've had insane moves up. We've had really, really insane moves up. We've made a lot of profits, right? people are going to be losing their minds. The same people that have been bearish every single dump are going to be the same bears that are going to come in here saying, I told you so, blah, 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 blah. I don't care, right? Fact of the matter is, everyone that's celebrating the drawdown, majority of them missed ETH at 1,500 to then send move up. They missed the 2x plus we got on ENA. They mixed the nearly 2x we got on SEI, on SUI, more than 2x we got on SUI. Every single altcoin we've been in has absolutely popped off the lows, right? AVAX not so much. My entry on AVAX is still literally break even for me. It's not really moved, right? Because my average is around $23 for AVAX. So if I'm pretty much break even on AVAX right now. Aptos, I'm also pretty much break even on, right? I'm not in the green on this right now. But many alts that we're in have popped insanely well, right? So it's not a surprise then that after we have this move, right? Take a look at this on the weekly. Look, no serious corrections on this entire move up. After all-time highs have been raided, can we be surprised that we're getting some sort of pullback? Of course not, right? The projected targets were literally hit. We SFP'd the key inflection area. We've already seen this, right? So it's not a surprise we're getting some red here, right? We've literally ETH putting a new high from 1,500s, right? Ethereum from my entry, this went up 214% without giving us any major pullbacks in the way up, by the way, can I just say, right? Look at this on the monthly, look. This has been month after month after month of just straight price action to the upside. Of course we're going to get some red. Markets don't go one direction only, right? So, we've hit all-time highs, some sort of corrections. It's not a surprise we're going to get some sort of correction. Where is actually, one sec, where is the historical price range mid? Of course, is the first target I'd be watching, right? So let's see what kind of close we get around the mid in 2 days. If we can stay above the mid here, we might target the box once more, right, before we have a drop down. If we lose the mid, then I'd be saying we're going to get these. Where's the key inflection areas gone for this? Well, basically, there's going to be a key inflection area here, right? You can see that. We're probably going to go and target that key inflection area next, right? Should this historical price range 5 not hold, we're talking 3,800, so on and so forth. If that is lost, then of course we've got the targets again. But hopefully this isn't lost, right? Hopefully what we get is kind of like what Bitcoin did in 2017, right? Or rather before that 2017 pop. Move up, displace, go and flip the next key inflection area into support, and then just absolutely send. Hopefully that's what we get on Ethereum. And I'll be targeting again. We've got the wave structures. We know what we are targeting on ETH. We are targeting these prices here. There we go. We have 2021 12-month seller zone mid being tested. We've got historical price range 4 mid here as well. If you drew this, like I said, I've got 2 different historical price range charts for Ethereum. In terms of this historical price range 4, we've got a nice zone here basically, right? We still have targets higher. By no means are the above targets invalidated or whatever people might think. 5,890, 5,953, 6,519. These are all valid targets. You have a butterfly, you have a macro ABCD. Look, the inside one's been hit, right? This one was projected way at a time. People were still scoffing when this was put in the screen originally. When I put this on, I was sharing this on streams and Twitter. People were like, that's not going to happen. Well, it did happen a few months later, right? So this is just a more macro wave structure. That's still a 786. The wave structure is still valid. Do not be surprised if 5,890 gets hit at some point in the future. 5,890, 5,953. Before this cycle is over, I think these prices get hit. Okay. If you get above that, then we're talking the hop of this butterfly, the 1.414, that's going to be at 6,519. If you get above that, then you can just pull fibs on and trend-based extensions, fib retracements. We can look for golden pocket extensions, so on and so forth, right? But in terms of wave structure plus fibs, these are the 3 key targets I have. Nothing's changed. The exact same targets I gave back in 2025. Sorry, back in April of 2025, right? The actual wave structures itself also gave as soon as the 786 got hit. So it's the same exact structures. Right, we just can't be surprised by seeing some red. Look where we are. We went from 1,500 to nearly 5,000. Just put that into perspective for a minute. Over the course of 3 or 4 months, you rallied 220%. Right? This is one candle. One weekly red candle, just like this was, just like this was. If this is still wrecking everyone, that just means, guess what? All the people that are celebrating this, scoffing at this, are the people who missed the move up. Because if you miss this move up, you're not going to care what's happened here. We took profits, right? I literally gave the signal saying, look, I'm going to start taking some profits off ETH on the spot account. And even when we rated the all-time high, I said I'm taking more profits off ETH, right? For that very reason, this is a trade plan that's played out. But we don't care what happens from here because we've taken money out. Right? We can just size up whenever we feel like it, whenever the next low comes in, when we think, okay, this looks ready to cover again, whenever the blood hits. If shit really hits the fan and we get some sort of capitulation event before the next move up, we just use our money to size up then. Very, very simple. Right? So, Ethereum looks fine for now. right? Fine, of course, people look at this like, how can you say this is fine? Well, I'm talking in the basis that I was telling people to buy 1,500, right? This is completely fine. This is just the nature of the market. Not every day is going to be green, right? We've rated all-time highs, we've hit key areas. Of course, we're going to get some sort of pullback. But again, mark my words, right? Just like I was saying that this is going to be a target first, this is going to be the next target. In fact, we were talking about how this is probably going to give us some sort of like front run or local raid to some sort of consolidation before the leg higher, right? We've hit that 1.272 target, 2021 all-time high. So ETH, nothing's changed, right? Look at ETH against BTC still. Yeah. You know, yearly levels. So if you see weakness here, you can try and hedge short. You know, you can try and or if you reclaim, you can try and scalp the swing long, scalp long, so on and so forth. I think ETH against BTC, we still have to go hit this target. I think fixed range volume profile high minimum gets hit, right? Above that, if you get the 618, again, that's a blessing. Go raid all of this liquidity before potential top, maybe 702, 707 before you roll over, right? But ETH against BTC still looks extremely strong, right? And if by the time this 4 month closes, we somehow end up getting a really nice close above this, mark my words, we're gonna rally into next year, in my opinion. Not into next year, sorry, into next quarter, right? But it depends. How do we act around the 2020, the 2019 yearly levels? That's what we're looking at, right? So I'm going to keep checking back to the chat here. Damn, we've got a very full house today. Come in, guys. I had so much rum and coke in my uni days. Coke started tasting like damn. For me, I was a Sambuca fiend in uni. Can't lie. Chambord, that was nice. You know, lychee, sake, plum wine, all of this. Okay, so that is ETH against BTC, right? We've looked at Ethereum, we've looked at Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin again. Let's look at Bitcoin properly because let's look at it like this, all right? Look, where did we top off? 3.14. Again, the bottom side of our blow off top target. We double topped there, right? 121. 413. We never got above, right? We never got above. We kept closing below the ABCD 1.618 based on that wave structure. It's not a surprise, right? If this type of let's say if this type of price action was going to come in anywhere, it was going to be at this area. Again, these were pre-projected levels, right? We just got to read the price action here. This is why I was saying you do not buy Bitcoin at these prices. You don't. There was absolutely nothing warranting buying Bitcoin here, which is why I gave 0 trades on Bitcoin, literally 0, right? 0 trades on Bitcoin. Right, the only thing I said last time we looked at Bitcoin was if you see weakness around these areas, either scalp to swing. The best bet is literally just scalp to swing short. That's it, right? I wouldn't build short positions because there wasn't enough going on here to actually warrant going swing short. There still isn't, right? People might look at this and be like, oh, we've topped out. It's still too early to call a top, in my opinion, because look, we're still putting higher highs and higher lows in. Right? We're still doing that on a monthly basis. On a weekly basis, on a 2 week basis, on a monthly basis. You look at this, and there's realistically nothing's been done here. That's devastating to the chart, right? We could, like I said, go and retest that breakout and then rally straight back up to the upside, hit 132k. The structure is still intact, right? It's only lower time frame structure that we had to watch out for. So what did we say? We said look for a shifter structure if the last higher low that led to the higher high gets taken out. That got taken out right over here, right? 22nd of August. The lower high came in right over here. Right, 117k. That was a good short to take. I didn't take this. I wasn't even looking at the charts at this particular moment. I completely missed this one, but that would have been a really beautiful short to take right there, right? Because there's your shifted structure, and then there was your lower high after the last high low that led to the high high got taken out, right? That would have been beautiful. But again, I didn't take this here myself. Right? Like I said, I wasn't even in front of my set when this was happening. I was in London, so I didn't take this. But that would have been a beautiful one to take. Right? Off the same levels we projected, right? The ABCD 1.414 in this case. Now we're here, you're not going to look for any sort of crazy shorts here, right? The Shark 1.13, that's been reconfirmed as a resistance now. We're just, locally speaking, we're putting lower highs and lower lows in. So you're going to hold back from doing any crazy longs until, again, trend comes back on your side, right? The local trend, 1 hour, 4 hours, so on and so forth, is to the downside. So until that is reclaimed, don't do anything crazy like, longing with everything you have, right? If you're going to build starter positions, if you're trying to build a more higher time frame back, go for it. But just make sure that trend is on your side before you fully allocate, right? Literally 20, 40, 40 on a more local scale, right? But again, on the grand scheme of things, as long as we are holding this zone, which is what we've always said on Bitcoin, we're fine, right? If realistically, we need to do something like this. We need to go and lose this and start doing something like this, right? For you to really, really have toppy structure where you can look for swing shorts, right? For now, we don't have that toppy structure yet, right? Not confirmed. Not something you could look at and be like, yeah, we've definitely topped out. You can't. But that is Bitcoin, that is ETH against BTC, and that is Ethereum, right? So Bitcoin needs to hold this sort of area, right? I hope it holds. I don't want it to go like, to 101k. If it goes, it's what it is. Like, I don't care. I'm not in Bitcoin in terms of like, in terms of a trade, apart from my 38k, 38,000 something swing long, which is not going to get stopped anytime soon, right? So I don't really care what Bitcoin does. I'm more in alts and ETH against BTC. Those are what I more care about, right? Hopefully, I finally get a chance to size up on ETH against BTC before its next massive move up, right? But if not, then it's what it is. ETH against BTC is still majorly up for us, right? That's literally $10 to that was 2,400 at peak, right? And we haven't even hit the first target of the harmonic yet, right? If we hit the second target, that's going to be about $10 to around 5 point something K, right? That's going to be a crazy flip done. Whenever I do fully close it, I'll update you guys. But yeah, what I really care about, like I've been saying for a while now, ETH against BTC. That's what you're after. But Bitcoin can do what it wants, right? I'm not in Bitcoin for a trade anymore. It's been a while, right? Rotated mainly to ETH, like I said, when ETH against BTC looked like it was bottoming out, right? So now it's about ETH against BTC. You're looking at things like Total 1, Total 2, Total 3, Total others, right? You're looking at USDT dominance, stablecoin dominance, and then you're gauging that to see, okay, do we look like we could get a market-wide pullback, or do we look like, we're just having a little pullback here, if support holds, we could go higher, right? That's what you're looking at. Yeah, bro, Sambuca. Liquor of the gods, honestly. Right, so the next thing I want to touch on, and if you guys have been watching of course, if you guys have been catching up with the sessions, right? So actually, while we're on the topic, core is finished. Okay, if anyone's wondering why I don't do core in the mornings anymore, core is finished. That's all the sessions done. We've got 2 sessions of advanced left, which will get done latest by Sunday, right? But basically tomorrow and Sunday, if you do 2 sessions in the morning, that's going to be advanced finished as well. You guys have until October the 15th, 16th, I want to say, somewhere around there, right? Because I'll be back in the UK for less than a week in that time. And in that period, we'll run the consolidation sessions in here, right? We'll have one for core, one for advanced. We'll take in turn. We're doing the stage, right? We'll go one by one. Everyone raise their hand one by one. People come on stage, ask your questions. We'll get the questions answered on like a one-to-one basis in that regard, right? But this way, you're still getting that one-to-one help that you need, but everyone else can also hear the questions you have. I feel like that'd be a really good learning experience for everybody, right? So most of the people express interest in doing it that way, so we'll do it this way. So we'll do one for core, one for advanced, sometime mid-October. After that, back to Hong Kong again, and some other places till the end of the year, basically. But core is finished. So for those of you here that are only in core, you have until October to make the most of the server, ask any questions you might have, because after that, if you're doing just core, no personal feelings or anything like this, you will be booted from the server, right? Because obviously this is for people who've done core and advanced. It wouldn't be fair to just like indefinitely leave you guys here. So but I will leave you guys in here until basically October, until we get the consolidation session done, right? Because many of you who was doing core still did the one-on-one. So to make up for the fact that we didn't have much one-on-one time, I'll still give you access to the server until then. You still catch the streams I do even when I'm away, right? Because I'll have my laptop with me when I'm in Asia, so I'll still do like 1 or 2 streams a week. We'll keep on top of the markets, so you guys will still be in here until the consolidation session's done. After that's done, then the only people left in the server will still be the people who've done core and advanced minimum. Well, I mean, if you've only taken the core, then you're going to be in just core. If you've taken both core and advanced, right? Like you've like when you signed up, if you did for both core and advanced, then you're going to be in for both. You're going to be in the server, basically, Adam. You're the first person I'm kicking, bro. You're out. Lifetime ban. Yeah, of course, bro. Yeah. But yeah, so getting that retest, right? And this is this is what higher time frame trading is all about. You're getting the retest. We've been talking about this retest as soon as that 6 month closed, right? As soon as 6 month closed, as soon as June closed, we've had this level come in, right? And we've been talking about this retest happening for a long time. Look, it took ages, but it's finally happening like 3 months after, right? 3-4 months after the actual close. So It takes time. High time frame takes time. Structure takes time to build. If you've got significant structure, it's going to take time to build. It's not going to happen on the 15-minute chart, right? So you've got to account for that when you're swing trading for that very reason. Hype is a good example, right? Hype, the entry, right? We've been holding this trade since April. I updated it when I closed the scalp to swing, right? The scalp to swing I closed somewhere around here. So my Twitter somewhere and the P&L section a bit higher. First TP was done around $35, right? When we basically went towards this area, 35, yeah. When we S&P'd all-time highs, I took half off the swing, right? The actual swing trade. Scalp to swing was closed all the way down over here, right? That's where half of the swing profits were taken out. And then after that, I've done absolutely nothing. Just waited. Look, all the way through June, all the way through July, right? All the way through August, right? All I've done is wait. Absolutely nothing. Don't care. Didn't take profits there. Didn't take profits here. Didn't take profits here. Now that I see the structure building, right, this looks like a rising wedge. This looks very, very toppy. Locally speaking, I wouldn't be surprised if this gave us a bigger... It could still go higher. There's absolutely no guarantees hype is going to die here. However, there is no guarantees hype is going to push up higher either. So, if I'm going to take profits here, guess what? This is where I'm going to... Which is why... it was it yesterday? But yeah, when we got that S&P confirmed close, basically, right, like this, $46 average, that's where I closed 80% of whatever was remaining. So now I've got a tiny moon bag left, right, just in there in case we do carry on going higher. Like that'll still, like, it's still putting me some money that I can use for, like, whatever, right? Be like, for whatever. So I'm going to leave that on. But if not, the majority is taken out, right? So if we do get that dump, I can use that to either resize back up into hype if I want to, right? Let's say all of these lows get ran before we go higher next, right? Then I'm going to use that profits I took to just resize up again. Very simple, right? But if you don't, then it's what it is. I've already secured a overall unleveraged 400% move up, right? And of course, I didn't close everything at 400%. Like half of it was closed at 337%. No, it wasn't. $35 is here. Half of it was closed at 267%, right? And the remaining 80% was closed around here. So the average close, let's say, is around a secured gain of around 336%, right? Somewhere around there. But I'm happy with that, right? That's the whole point of swing trading. Remember, swing trading is not about timing the bottom and timing the top. If I was trying to time the top, I would have sold here, then I would have sold here. It just doesn't work, right? Structure is your best friend. What do we see now? Over time, we see aggressive buys have kept coming into these highs and they have never ever been successful. Never. This line has never ever been successful for aggressive buys. It just hasn't. And now what we have is just divergence is building up, right? Price keeps grinding higher, but your oscillators keep pointing lower. MACD lower, RSI lower. Bearish divergences are lining up, right? You got some bearish news coming out for these platforms around Twitter. FUD's coming all the way out. So I'm completely happy at this point to just take what I have. Even if hype were to go to the moon from here, I would not care. Because the money I made from this, I am a million times, like I'm 1,000,000% content with how much money I made in this now, right? It's going to be someone's yearly wage plus some, right? So that's the power of these swings, right? It's going to be big swings. You enter with size and you just wait. You enter where you have low risk, high reward, right? You enter where RR is good. You don't enter everything at once. 20, 40, 40, which is why my swing average was around 10 something, right? Whereas my scalp to swing was like literally the low $9 something, right? Because I used 20, 40, 40. And then once you think, okay, well, the bulk of the move seems to be done for now. Momentum is not on our side anymore. Whereas it was here, right? Whereas the diagonals were literally being used to support entirely on the way up. Now you can see what was once support, right? Is starting to be resistance, and then we're starting to come lower and lower, and more diagonals are now turning to resistance rather than support. The trend that's been laid out for us isn't being respected, right? The buying pressure isn't there for now to keep up with the demand of the trend. When you see all these things, I'm gonna take some profits. This way I can sleep soundly at night, knowing I've already now confirmed profits, right? I've secured a down payment on a house, and then now it's like the rest can do whatever it wants, right? It's what it is. And that money you have is going to be so nice when you want to rotate it. And if you go even more red, we get some sort of capitulation. You take that and you put it straight back into whatever coin you're interested in, spot, low leverage swings, whatever. Because many of these old coins are still in swing setups. Should we get any sort of accumulative structure, right? Many of these are. Many things haven't moved. Look at Say, right? Yes, we've turned this into resistance for now, right? We've turned that into resistance. It's very clear what's going to happen on Say here, right? You are at the you're holding yourself by literally on a knife's edge. You get this. say he's going to be taking all this liquidity out, right? Maybe go fill some sort of like, buy seller zones, fair value gaps, whatever, target those. If those is lost, maybe reset all the way back down to 20 cents again. But if not, if it gets some sort of false breakdown to a reclaim, say he's going to absolutely explode, right? So as you can see, many of these alts are still in swing territory, right? If you're going to enter, of course, that doesn't mean you have to only swing. If you want to scalp to swing, you want to scalp, that is also completely fine. But remember, have separate portfolios for that. Know what to do when, right? At these below these key levels, it's completely fine for you to be scalp to swing shorting, right? Because we know you're below key levels. Above that, there was no point, shorting because you're above everything you need to be. But now that you've seen this, if you get any drives into this, right, you get anything like this happening, that's going to be a good place to scalp to swing short, scalp short, right? Hedge for any potential flash crashes you get to the downside, right? But are you going to market short right now? No, right? Many people are going to be doing this. Market shorts are going to be piling on, right? You can probably see it if I turn these on. Hang on, not this. There. You can see the dots popping up. Market shorts are going to be piling in. In fact, it's not really showing up here, is it? I'm surprised. I thought there'd be more. I mean, there was a load here, but there's not much here. There's some here. But whenever we get that capitulation and you see loaded market shorts coming in, not being rewarded, then it's going to be like, okay, well, perhaps the move down is now been done, right? Been finished. But many of these alts are still in. Even if you get a pullback, you put another high low in, right? Because remember, this is sort of like what Bitcoin did, right? Bitcoin bottomed out, had that move up, gave us that 618 drop, right? So in fact, if I was to do this, let me just literally in fact, we've already dropped below. Oh, hang on. What can we go to from here? That high to that low. We are interested in. Let me delete that. Let me do, what diagonals do we have on say? So I think we've gone, I think it's going to be deep retracements here actually. Yeah, so 764, 786 is currently what you're holding. If you lose that, this is what you want say to hold, right? Go there. That'd be a nice area for it to hold. Shoot back to the upside and then shoot like this. Because again, most people aren't thinking in terms of diagonals, right? Liquidity pocket confluence, fair value gap, whatever you want to see. This confluence is in that particular area, right? But hopefully what we get is, honestly, in an ideal scenario, hopefully we just get some sort of quick liquidation to the move up. I feel like that'd be the most painful. Because everyone is, all the bears, right? All the bears, they're going to be waiting for way lower prices. And all the bulls that were late, so the people not positioned, if you position from the lows, you're still up like 30%, 38% on say, right? We're still up about 38% from our entry. But all the people that entered late, they're going to be panic selling. That they will panic sell, they'll be forced to cover. So I think the best scenario would be literally something like this. Don't give the bears what they want yet again. Just leave them holding their, twiddling their thumbs in a bull market. And also the late longers, right? To the late longers, to the late entries, punish them, take the liquidity, and send it to the upside. Hopefully something like that's what we get. But again, that's just an idea. We'll see what price action gives us. Right? Until it happens, we don't know. But like I said, over the weekend, either Saturday or Sunday, we'll do an actual, probably Saturday actually, sometime Saturday afternoon, we'll do an actual altcoin stream as well, where we go over alts, we look for setups, so on and so forth. What I want to do today is go more so over these, right? So let's look at Dixie first. Dixie, bearish, love to see it. Let me go here. Losing the 382, and that's what we hope, right? We hope this does die to the downside. We hope it keeps falling to the downside. Every single major alt moves have always been, the backdrop of that has always been a bearish Dixie. And again, this is coming off of some serious higher time frame structure, right? X, A, B, C, D. We've got deep Gartley and normal Gartley PRZ, right? That's been hit with the lower high, confirmed lower high at the Gartley 786, creating also this parallel channel. We're at the lows of that. Now the problem with this is, since we are at the lows, we can't be surprised if Dixie does give us some sort of move up before it goes down again, right? We are also not just at the lows of the parallel channel, but we are also at the first terminal 1 zone. So as long as you're above this, we can't be surprised if we get some sort of type 2 return. If we get that, that's going to be, I hope we don't get it. I hope what we do get is just a straight up flash crash towards the 618 to 0.5, so on and so forth, right? But Dixie currently at very crucial areas. If if over the grand scheme of things, buyers are the one that show control here. Dixie will be rallying back to the upside, in my opinion, over the coming months, right? 103 perhaps before another lower high and down, perhaps, or maybe even back up to the channel before death. Not sure. Type 2 would certainly send us back towards 110 to 115, right? But we'll talk about that if, like, the actual trend shifts back to an uptrend, because for now Dixie is in a downtrend, right? Even on something like the daily, Dixie is downtrending. It's lower highs and lower lows. Last lower high yeah, no, that's still downtrending on the daily. That's still, so it's still lower highs. It's nasty candles coming in at the 382. I hope for death, right? That's what I hope for on Dixie. Now USDT dominance, right, is just absolutely been refusing to let go of this particular key area that we've got. Right, so if you go to USDT dominance here, it's been straight up rejecting the possibility of a loss of this red line. That's just how important it is, right? We keep talking about this red line from history. 1 tap, 2 tap, right? Extend it all the way to the right, 3 tap, and now 4 tap, right? This is the range extreme. The reason I've got this on, this is your range extremity, right? There is your line of best fit, the blue box. The reason we do that is because that's what's got the most taps, right? We know that, we've seen it. But that red one, that is your line of best fit. Sorry, that's the extreme line of best fit, right? So if everything is lost, what is the last bastion of hope you have if you are a bull on USDT dominance, right? It is this red line, which is why this has been so significant, right? And we've struggled to lose this, because you lose this in terms of diagonals, you don't have anything else. You don't. You lose this, you go to take out this liquidity, right? All this, you're having a liquidity run, right? On all of these, should you lose that red line. That is why this has been defended with this entire might. Right? Again, we're above this. Doesn't matter as long as we go and we do not start closing above. If we start doing this, that is what we are after. Put on the lower high in, really turn this back into resistance. Don't show any sign of strength here. Rather, overcome. Sellers need to overcome any sort of strength the buyers show on the USDT dominance chart here. Right? Firmly confirm this blue line to be resistance. Then I think you have a much better shot at actually going to run some of these stops. Right? Otherwise, if you reclaim here, this just doesn't look good. It's like USDT dominance looks ready to just go and take these out instead. And that's something I hope doesn't happen. We'll recalibrate should you go and reclaim this into support. Okay, that's what we don't want to see. Of course, you have got USDC dominance as well, right? The berry structure played out, gave us that drop down, and we bounced up. This is probably like a buy-seller zone or something. In fact, there's probably going to be a buy-seller zone there. I just don't have it on the screen, right? But toppy for me, like let's say, bull market end targets for USDC dominance would be somewhere around 0.84 to 0.83%, hopefully. Right? And that would line up with, again, if you look at USDT plus USDC dominance, what do we have? The reason we're holding this key level, the 0.852, right? 87886 basically. So everything to do with the golden pockets here, right? Deep value. Day 52 is the cube root of the golden of the 618, right? The 87886. Of course, we know the 86 is the square root of the square root, right? Every key levels related to the golden pocket here, we call them deep retracements here. That plus the liquidity rate of the golden pocket, right? Your horizontal golden pocket, they've all held, right? You S&P to the upside, above that diagonal. Therefore, you're getting some sort of respite back to the upside. But once again, for a market top target, for me, this 86 would be what makes the most sense, right? Go put on the lower high in or something, and then just have one more like absolute drop. Send total 1 higher, send total 2, total 3, send everything higher, send all coins higher, inject a ton of liquidity into the market, right? Drop the dominances all the way down. And then once these hits, for me, the ideal scenario, like I've always said this, the ideal scenario would be a bull market top somewhere around the 86 completing on the USDC dominance chart and the USDT plus USDC dominance chart, right? Somewhere around here, and I'm starting to really bag profits, right? And I'm going to take it and I'm going to run for the hills. But this is just ranging for now. Sideways, you've had the lows of the range, and that looks like it's in the lows of the range you're holding. You're now looking to go back towards the mid. The mid is going to be somewhere around here, and then if you take that, you're going back to the highs. Like it's what it is, right? So at support, we know the inverse correlation, right? If stablecoin what's inversely correlated, Dixie, USDT, Dixie and stablecoin dominance, these are inversely correlated to risk on assets, and especially with stablecoin dominance, inversely correlated to crypto, right? It's not an X equals Y relationship, it's an X equals 1 over Y relationship. So if this is a support, we say that, okay, that is probably going to be bearish for the crypto markets for a while, because if this bounces, that's just what that's doing is you're going to get an increase in the percentage, and the percentage itself is showing you how much of the market cap is owed to stablecoins, right? So if this goes up, obviously that just means more and more people are flocking to stablecoins, and that is not something you want, right? You want people spending their stablecoins to actually buy crypto, to, you know, go and play on chain, to, you know, provide liquidity to the order books, to, you know, to hold up the floors, right, for support. You want that USDT being spent. You don't want it being, like, you know, held, right? Because that means there's less ammunition to make these moves, basically. But both USDT dominance, USDC dominance, and USDT plus USDC dominance were a support, and we're just getting a slight bounce of support, right? This is the same, right? The reason we're bouncing is the exact same reason why I've not given like many fresh calls over the last, I think it's been more than a month now, right? More than a month, I've not really done anything, because like I've been saying, many things have been sat at resistance, right? That's why no, it doesn't matter if you go and sit at resistance and it goes sideways. You don't buy at resistance ever. You wait for confirmation flips before you buy, right? Because confirmation flips give you easy invalidations, right? As support, let's see what happens. You've got an order block. If you can't get above, you put another lower high in, you could just carry on going to the downside. But if you, for example, you go, you know, take that out, put a high low in, and you start grinding back up, then, you know, 8% could be in the cards before another drop, right? Something like this. So let's see what happens here, right? Bitcoin dominance. Red still, right? Actually, Bitcoin dominance red. It's not really getting any sort of God candles or anything like this, right? Bitcoin dominance. So if I go back to Bitcoin dominance over here, you just about front ran this yearly cluster. So I hope for one more spike down to this, right? But Bitcoin dominance again approaching support, right? Approaching very big support here. Remember, when Bitcoin dominance is a support, if you were like, let's say, day trading or anything like this, you would look to get out of alts and go into Bitcoin. Right, if you had to make the decision between Bitcoin and alts, if Bitcoin dominance is support, you're making the decision to trade Bitcoin, right? Because if this bounces, again, that just means that more liquidity is going to be flowing into Bitcoin, as compared to, sort of, generally speaking, as compared to alts, right? You look at the Bitcoin pairing, so on and so forth, to actually get a good idea of what could still outperform. But generally speaking, when Bitcoin dominance is support, that's where you want to prioritize Bitcoin over other things, right? But the trend on Bitcoin dominance has shifted. Right, if you look at the weekly, the last high low that led to the high has been taken out. Lower highs come in. For we know, this could put in another lower low. Maybe that gives us another nice little bounce to another lower high, somewhere around the liquidity pocket, and then sends, or maybe we get some sort of fake out distributive structure to down. But whatever, until the downtrend gets sort of discontinued, we're in a downtrend on Bitcoin dominance. Right, we're in a downtrend. We're in a very, very clear downtrend. We can look at this on the daily as well. Lower highs and lower lows are predominant. The last high low that led to the high has been taken out, right? So if Bitcoin dominance keeps going down like this, right, and what we need here is, remember, Bitcoin dominance can't be the only thing going down. What's happening today? Bitcoin dominance is red, sure, but USDT dominance and USDC dominance is going up, right? Meaning people are straight up just flocking to stable coins right now. They're not, you know, they're not necessarily flocking to Bitcoin, they're flocking to stables, meaning everything. Crypto as a whole is experiencing a drop, not just like in alts, right? So what we need for alt season is what Bitcoin dominance is doing, but we need stable coins to join into the party. Right, so that is what this ticker is for. Bitcoin dominance plus USDT plus USDC dominance, i.e. Bitcoin dominance plus stablecoin dominance. This is still, just like Bitcoin dominance, this is in a downtrend. Look, the last high low that led to the high taken out. Bearish bat completed. Right, the first target hasn't been hit yet. It's lower, 61.75%. The reason we're seeing so much red is because, whereas Bitcoin dominance is, you can see, like, yes, it's a bit of a green candle, but it's not as prominent as this one, right? And that is because stablecoins have been a support, and stablecoins have caught a rotation, right? Sending that the inverse correlation sort of domino into play. But again, you look at this on the daily and you realize, well, we're still in a downtrend, right? Until the last high low, or rather the last lower high, for example, this, right? That letter low low gets taken out and reclaimed. Just on a daily, on a weekly, you're in a downtrend. So until that happens, you'll be looking for trend to carry on to the downside at some point, whenever this relief is done, right? Relief bounce is done. So that is going to be the backdrop, right? Eventually we're going to get some sort of fat nasty candle on this. Something like this is what we're after, where everything just straight up dies, right? That's what we want. Bitcoin dominance and stable coins to absolutely drop. That's going to be the backdrop for a glorious alt season, right? We might have a bit more chop before that time comes. Again, we can't time when the rotation to the straight up alt coins is going to come in. We can only position ourselves at areas that make sense, in the hopes that, you know, we don't get absolutely screwed over by the time all season does come around. That's all we can do. Manage risks and try to play it in the hopes that you're still there and alive and kicking by the time the actual move happens, this, it doesn't take long. Look, this isn't the actual big moves that came in alt season, right? I'm talking the 300% moves happened during 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, less than 2 months, right? Less than 2 months. That's where majority of the alts absolutely ran. So that's the type of like time frame we're waiting for, the absolutely euphoric phase, right? But this, yes, it's had a big move down, right? You could argue for the fact you probably completed some sort of wave structure. So, you know, that looks like a shark to me. Close enough, right? It's not quite an 886, but a bit lower, and you will have completed a shark here, for example. We're completing bullish sort of, you know, completion points for some of these harmonics, right? So we can't be surprised that we're getting some sort of chop here at the end of the day. There's going to be significant levels here. But hopefully, ultimately, even if the harmonic completes, we hit like the T1, something like this, right? Get the bearish 0.5 and absolutely die. Hopefully, something like that's what happened, is what we're going to get, rather. Next, let's look at total. Total is once again retesting that zone, the ABCD 2.0, macro AB equals CD 1.272. 3.72 to 3.69 trillion is being retested. Again, as long as we're above this, we are fine. Even if we were to lose this, as long as this retest is successful, guess what? That's just going to be, in my opinion, liquidity rate to throw people off. If we get that reclaim, we're going to get a beautiful smiley face to take us higher, in my opinion. I don't see a world where anywhere between 4.42 to 4.69 trillion doesn't hit. Right, especially this zone right here has so much confluence. I would actually genuinely be frothing if they didn't hit this market. 886, right? That'd be the most beautiful deep crab that's been printed in a while, right? The 1.618, the ABCD 3.14, 3.618. So these are all still targets. Again, we hit the 2.24, right? The first ABCD hit 2.24. That was the reason we couldn't go any higher. We still have the 2.618, we still have the 1.618 of the deep crab, we still have the 3.14 of the ABCD, and the 3.618 of the ABCD. They're all still valid targets. Until that C points get taken out, all of these will remain valid targets. We've hit the 2.24, so it's the 2.618, the 3.14, and the 3.618 next. Right, but as long as, here's the two things, right? As long as this retest is successful, we're not going to see this. If we get some more selling pressure and this is lost, we want this to hold next, right? If that retest of the breakout is successful and you sort of like do this for a bit before going higher, that would be classic price action, and that would be absolutely amazing to see, right? That's total. Total 2, front ran, right? I'll repeat, absolutely diabolical work here. Front ran all-time highs, even though Ethereum rated all-time highs, total 2 front ran all-time highs. I am not surprised. But again, you're in your 2021 yearly levels. You go to the 12 months, there's your 2021, right? Seller controlled area. You're literally still above your 2021 mid, right? As long as this is holding a support, again, you are fine. You could very easily do this, right? If this turns to resistance, then you get a shot back towards the 618, so on and so forth. And then, you know, maybe this time you finally go and hit the actual weekly buyer seller zone before going higher. Right, just level by level, that's all we can do here. First level, second level, if that is lost, third level, so on and so forth. Very simple, right? Just play it level by level. Nasty, again, loads of trap traders, right? Loads of trap traders. You can see the volume coming in terms of aggressive bids, right? Even though it's showing up here, it's showing up because, respectively speaking, there were loads of aggressive trading going on in the actual other coins that make up total 2 as well, right? So the way the indicators work is obviously they have a universal coding set that takes data points. So even though there is no aggressive buying or selling going on in the total 2 chart itself, right? Not that I'm aware of. I don't think you can trade these. If you could, I'd be on it. And in fact, does anyone know if these are actual tickers you can trade? Like, do you know if it's like maybe like a basket, right, that you could actually trade? Just total 2, total 1. I don't think it is, but I've never actually thought of that before. It's not something you can trade, is it? The totals. When you're looking at this old liquidity, what do you mean by that, brother? Probably read the message a bit too late. What you're referring to. But I don't think these are tradable tickers. But anyway, aggressive trading not rewarded, basically, right? And front run all-time high, so I do expect that to get taken out at some point. Again, you have a target for 2 trillion, 2.11 trillion, 2.14 trillion, and should ETH hit those 5,800 to 6,400 targets we're talking about, then that's going to line up very nicely with these levels being hit on total 2, right? But for now, again, all-time highs were pretty much hit. In this case, it's a front run, but we can't be surprised we're getting a pullback. Just look where we are on the, look what is done since April low, since we actually entered. Look what it's done, right? Just one major pullback. After that, everything else just, basically higher highs and higher lows have been put in, and that trend is still prevalent, right? Even though this looks like a local rising wedge here on the daily, right? That looks like a rising wedge, which might give us some sort of like drop, rebalancing before going higher. The trend is very much still to the upside for now, right? The only problem is we've been stuck at resistance, so now we've come back down to an area of value. If that's lost, we'll go down to the next area of value, so on and so forth, right? Just level by level is the best way to do this. Total 3. Again, something we have already identified ages ago. We're still below the deep Gartley and the Gartley 786. Where's your Gartley? 618. Remember, 786 is the normal Gartley, 886 is the deep Gartley. And then if you get past that, the 618 can also give you the deep crab, which is what we've got marked down over here, right? Why has that changed? I have no idea. But the deep crab's over here. So we haven't, in total 3, we've not been able to go above the actual Gartley itself, but as long as we're above the B point, everything's fine. If you ever come and flip the B point into support, we've already done that once. If you keep maintaining above the B point, eventually, you're going to go and attack the extremities. If you get above that, that 1.618 would be the next target you're looking for, right? But the first thing we need to do on total 3, right, the reason also been struggling to get above is you have been unable to get above this PRZ right over here, 1.05 to 1.1 trillion PRZ for the bearish Gartley. Could go ahead and put the targets down for that, right? For the bearish Gartley, the targets right here, right? So in fact, you've already hit T1, right? You've already hit T1 on the retracement, and this was your type 2 return. The type 2 gave you a higher high with bearish divergence, looks like. Yeah, bearish divergence, higher high in price, lower high in RSI. The type 2 return was also unsuccessful. Back down, inverted smiley right over here. It's beautiful watching this develop, right? Inverted smiley, and that is what's causing us grief. So if this is lost, we might now get a move perhaps down towards T2. I hope we don't, right? I hope this holds, but if that happens, that's going to be some sharp discounts on altcoins that we can just size up with again, right? With all the profits we've taken out, just reimburse that into buying even more for the next blow off top phase, buying the blood basically. But hopefully we don't get such a nasty correction, right? Hopefully we sort of chop around here, take local stops out and go higher, right? Kind of just want everything to be running green while I'm away. But that is total 3, right? Again, that's the reason I've not given many fresh calls, right? Majority, all the different calls were given when we were at these lows, right? If you look at the Weatherman chart thumb section, you look at the old section, all the calls were given when we were actually coming down to these lows. There's not been hardly any new calls given, apart from like TPs and maybe a little bit of size ups here and there. There's not been many new calls given since we basically hit these resistances, right? July, August, September. There's not been many new big swing plays given, right? For that very reason, I'm not going to give you guys calls when we are resistance, right? It might be a few months of absolutely just silence or even just no new trades, but I'd rather be in no trades than get chopped out. Think about how much liquidations came in this range, and price is still where it was 3 or 4 months ago, right? For many coins, it's not worth it, right? Sometimes doing nothing is the best answer. You got to wait for the most opportune moments to really take big risks, right? Most people think that you make it big by taking big risks every day. That's not how you do it. Yes, you have to be able to take big risks, but only when it makes sense to do so. If you start just absolutely going, ham every single day, it's not going to work. You're just going to burn out, basically, right? Your account's going to burn out. Your portfolio is going to burn out. Others. 618 got front ran. Nasty to see, but it's what it is, right? The 618 got front ran, and once again, you're putting in that sort of inverted smiley face structure over here. Right there, inverted smiley structure coming in, right over here. If you get that drop, I expect that to get taken out somewhere around 244 to 231 before we sort of establish what's going on. Either that or you reclaim the trend line and go up, right? Others, very simple. It's either you lose it, right? If you lose that structure, you lose that trend line, you basically looking to run these stops, right? And the most obvious target there would once again just be the 414, the 382, and the 34, right? There's nothing complicated here. Those would be the key targets you go down to should this get lost, basically. Otherwise, what you see, if you don't want too much blood on the streets, is you see something like this, quick wick, and that. Something like that is hopefully what you see if you want the quickest way to go to the upside. Otherwise, I think something deeper, some sort of reaccumulation structure, and then after that higher perhaps, right? But that's others. But again, everything was sat at resistance, right? Since July, everything has been at resistance. Total DeFi, same thing. Around July, you hit this higher low, came in August, move up to this in August, which is why DeFi coins like have still done relatively well. Aero, Aave, they hold up. They kept going green a bit longer than everything else did, right? Because even until August we were putting these in. All you've done hit T2, right? You hit T2 for that bigger wave structure to the left, right? Once again, just that same T2 zone, you've hit it, and you've also hit, of course, 2024 yearly levels, rejected. You're now back to 20. Just yearly level to yearly level. That's all you've been doing. It's ranging, right? You've just been ranging. This is almost building up a wave structure that looks too nice. So let's do that for now. So perhaps what you get is some sort of, again, liquidity pocket, drive down, hit, reclaim and go, right? That could be something that happens. We just have to keep an eye on it. If not that, then the deep guard. If not that, then perhaps like even 1.618 crab if shit really hits the fan. Who knows, right? But for now, that 786 is what I keep an eye on. If this is lost, right? If this is lost, I'd look for that 786 plus liquidity pocket zone to hold. Right? The 86 is going to be somewhere around here as well for Confluence. Nice little PRZ down at the lows, basically. But yeah, everything's grinding up slowly, right? This is slowly grinding up. Others against BTC, slowly but surely, not putting in the worst structure here, right? Others against BTC. So again, what is this? Others BTC, right? Ratio of the total market cap, excluding the top 10, to Bitcoin. So i.e., these are your altcoins, right? Altcoins against Bitcoin. Again, remember, as long as we're off the 86, everything is fine, right? You've hit the 618, the 886, the deep Gartley has been hit. You're starting to put in what looks to be smiley faces here, right? Even if we go do this and do this, as long as there's a confirmed smiley, I would actually think that others against BTC still looks good. You're reclaiming your previous sort of like, demand lines, right? Demand lines, you're reclaiming that. The extremities have held. Aggressive sellers have not been rewarded here. So if you take this out, right over here on the weekly, and put a high low in, something like this, then I think others against Bitcoin goes higher, which of course is going to be really, really good for our altcoins, right? Total DeFi dominance rather. Petering now in terms of momentum, but again, as long as you're back within this range, the range low is where you're looking for bids, or rather executions, right? So basically when that's there, if you look into DeFi projects, that's where you look to get into some DeFi projects, because as long as you're above this range, well, there's the range mid, there's the range high. We know how range trading works, right? A run on these at some point seems inevitable, right? Look at this, all this liquidity. A run on that at some point seems inevitable, even though this is just a dominance chart. A run on that still seems inevitable at some point. Others dominance, right? Just going sideways. The 1.414, i.e., the hop of the what is this? There's the butterfly. The hop of the butterfly hit, still held, right? And this thing hit back ages ago, right? This thing hit in like June, early June. Hit, it's still chopping sideways, and now you're trying to reclaim the 1.272 of the butterfly. That's what this is. Again, if you can reclaim this, all we need to do on others dominance is reclaim this, right? If you can reclaim that, you've reclaimed old PRZs, old resistances into support. We're looking to play this range back up to the upside, all the way towards 12.62%. If that's, of course, the mid first, but if you get above the mid ever, that high, right? That's the range you're working with. So we need to go and get above 8.31 to 8.56% pronto, 8.61 even, right? 8.31 to 8.61%. Need to get above that ASAP. That's what we need, right? This looks like it's been expanding like this. Yeah, some sort of downtrending channel almost, right? Next, what do we have? We have total 3 against Bitcoin. Total 3 against Bitcoin looks good. We're putting in green candles. So collectively speaking, what we're saying is, we're saying, look, total 1 is down 3.9%. Total 2 is down 3.61%. Total 3 is down 3.5%, right? Total others is down 4.92%. So what is this telling us? This is telling us the things that's holding up things that's holding up the most, right, is total 3. And what is total 3? Total 3 is the crypto total market cap excluding Bitcoin and ETH. We can just take this as like maybe like the top 100 projects or something like this. They're holding the value the most right now, right? Because look, total 1 is down the most. That's telling us Bitcoin is losing its value the most right now, right? So total 3 against Bitcoin also looks good, and we want this to continue. We can't just have relative show of strength, right? Because for all we know, this could be like a lagging indicator right now that peels over like the next 2 weeks. Hopefully it's not the case. Hopefully we actually keep going green and then reclaim by the time weakness comes in. Because if that happens again, total 3 against Bitcoin looks ready to go to the upside, right? You know, M shapes are so close to being completed over here. You've had the breakout, you've had the falling sort of retest breakout up to the upside, but reclaim this. I'll be looking for 0.55, 0.73, so on and so forth, right? That's total 3 against Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin against gold, at support right now. If this is lost, I think gold vastly outperforms Bitcoin for a while, right? Let's take a look at this. Gold looks, just looking at this, I don't even need to look at the gold chart. This is telling me gold probably looks pretty damn good. In fact, let's take a look at this. Yeah, I mean, look at that. That's insane, right? No wonder. Gold looks absolutely ready to move. So this could be taking liquidity for a while, right? It's what it is. Markets always move in rotations, right? Right now it's not crypto's rotation, so we're gonna get some red, right? You know, money's probably gonna flow into some stocks, into some commodities like this, into some like, you know, gold, silver, whatever, right? Whatever people are interested in. Once this is done, we'll get rotations back into Bitcoin, into crypto, right? As soon as the accumulative structure is done, it's just cycles, right? It's just cycles. Crypto's had its cycle. We've gone, right, for the last sort of 4 months, especially. Like we said, with Ethereum taking the lead, everything has been rising with it, right? Everything. So we can't be surprised. And after 4 months of green, we're getting some sort of breather here again, right? People are taking profits. There's going to be, you know, rebalancing of money, rotations to other projects, into other sectors. That's just how market works, right? But yeah, so that's that. So that is all of the macro charts. Let me check the chat. I'm gonna check that in a little while. Yeah, this will be put on YouTube, bro. Yeah, my YouTube's been dead. I've not uploaded anything in nearly a month, so I'll upload this one and the next one when we do alts too. But yeah, so that's that. Let's take a look. What else? Some things to update real quick. This NEO went up more than 2x. Okay. So this, if anyone remembers, we were talking about this a lot in the streams. So I was saying, okay, for the challenge account, for the spot challenge account, because remember a portion of it I put into the challenge account, about 3,000 something pounds. A portion of that money from when I opened the challenge account in crypto, I also put into stocks. NEO and Lemonade are both done really well, right? Stocks have been absolutely killing it. Lemonade, NEO went up more than 2x, right, from our entries. Right now it's up about 70% because we had a little pullback, but NEO's done bits, right? In fact, I can probably I'll put it later actually. But NEO's done well. Lemonade, that's another one that's also done well, right? Breakout, retest, higher. Let's see. Let's take a look at some of these. BA actually holding above the PRC, believe it or not. Don't really care about that. Baba, insane move up. So this is what I mean. This is why I position myself for Chinese stocks, right? Baba I gave in AR Collective, right? I gave this like a couple. This has been a while actually. So I think Adam, you were there, right, when I gave this one. I forgot exactly when I gave it, but I remember giving Baba because I was like, that Gartley looks beautiful, right? That's what dreams are made of. Gartley's being put in, and then, you know, sideways, a cumulative structure, smiley faces, higher low, reclaim of key levels. Yeah, Baba was a dream. It must have been around 2024 then, but I feel like I could have sworn it was a bit earlier than that. But yeah, no. So I gave a load of spot calls over the last few years in AR. That's done really well. But Baba was one of them, right? And now NEO's there to join that, right? NEO, more than 2x. NEO's done 100%. Baba's done 100%. Let's take a look. Unity Software. There we go. There's the retest we were talking about, right? Unity Software is also slowly grinding to the upside, right? Falling that supply line breakout, retest. It would have been even better if we'd gone to fully retest that 2022 key level, right? We front run it. We might retest it again some point in the future before going higher, right? But you should be looking at this and thinking, what you should be thinking is Unity is a buy, right? I'm going to be focusing, you should be looking at this thinking, right, if I'm going to be doing anything here, I'd be looking to get into, I'll be looking at any possible opportunities to get into Unity at some sort of discount, right? Any sort of pullback you get, rather than just being like, oh yeah, I'm just going to put another lower high in and die, because this structure is good. there, accumulation, manipulation, right? Yearly levels above your 2022 yearly levels, above your supply line breakout, right? So as long as you're above this, Unity, $50, $63, $76. We'll update this when those finally hit, but this was something, you know, we've talked about a lot. I was looking at this for somebody. What is this doing right now? Below. Sometimes I forget why I put things where I did, because I'll be doing it in the moment, right? I mean, this is not something I actually have myself, but I forgot who asked for this. Someone asked for this. Below, if you want this to go higher, you want to see that reclaim, right? If that happens, T2 gets hit, in my opinion. If not, you might get some sort of flush before going higher. But the way stocks are moving right now, I'd say something like this is probably more likely. Oracle finally getting a breather. Nice little pullback. That's fine. What about Reddit? Reddit also. Ooh, you might get a good opportunity. 1 second. Just a minute, lad. 1 sec. Right, there we go. As long as you're below this on Reddit, right? If you know somewhere, like you could probably do it on MEXC actually. But if 230.41 keeps being resistance for Reddit, or even now if you wanted to, you have a very nice easy short you could potentially take on this, right? Something like this perhaps. I mean, to be honest, you could just do something like this. But the best entry would be at the actual tap, right? The actual tap. If you enter here, I would never enter full position without a key level being hit. In this case, it's already been hit, right? But if you want like a potential short to take, something like that is honestly more than viable for Reddit, right? Perhaps go and fill the gap at some point. But I mean, the risk is not much, especially for saying it's a stock. It's not much at all. And you could even make it tighter if you wanted to, right? If you wanted to be really, really sadistic with yourself, you could make it even tighter. But if you want like a hedge play to the downside, Reddit is one where RR-wise it makes sense, right? Of course, it's going to be very scary shorting something that's basically in price discovery, right? It was in price discovery 18th of August 2025, literally this month. We've just had a little pullback now. But, you know, should you, you can either buy the bullion and start building a position now, or you can wait for one more rate of the 230 perhaps, right? In which case you have to be okay if you miss the entry to the downside. But a potential short you could take perhaps here, right? With the stop loss basically being wherever the hell you want, whatever is okay with your risk appetite. But realistically, you get above 234.1 and treat it as support, you're out of the trade, right? Your invalidation is above 230.41, confirmation above that, you're out of your trade, right? Estee Lauder still going sideways, right, after our trend shift, right? As long as, we stay here, we go sideways. First target 102, 130, 159, 186. I still think this looks fantastic. I've not seen a chart like this in a while where you have such a macro structure, right? 0.5, 886. Never enough a perfect bat here, right? So Estee Lauder still looks good, right? This looks good. I mean, there's a beauty company. Maybe they'll come out with some next revolutionary serum or something, because this looks good. This looks really, really good. Now, Lithium Americas Corporation. Like I've been saying, if you get that bat 261.886, you long, right? We've been getting multiple taps of that, and you're now propped up against 2019 high. After you get above this, in my opinion, you make a really, really sharp shoot up towards $3.84 to $4.10, right? I think LAC takes that at some point. Guess the T2 basically, because we've already hit T1. We've hit T1. We've hit T1 and got the Type 2 return. The Type 2 return was successful. So now I don't see what's stopping us to go to Type 2 and beyond, right? LAC, we've already gone over this again also, but that looks really, really good. Also, EHang Holdings, right? If anything, people are going to look at this and cringe. Like I said, Chinese stocks, I think, do amazingly well. I think Chinese economy does well over the next decade or so. EHang Holdings is another sort of Chinese stock, right? Neo's gone, Baba's gone. Look, as long as you're at the lows, that is the least risky place you could buy. And even better yet, if you manage to catch a rate to reclaim, that is the best place you could buy this particular stock. But over here, like if you literally just buy shares of it, right? Forget about options or anything like this. If you literally just buy shares of it, and of course you could do options, right? I don't really do options personally myself. If I'm doing stock, I typically just put size in and just buy shares. But EHang Holdings is definitely one to consider, because again, in terms of risk to reward, in terms of the chart structure, this looks good. I can't lie, this looks good, right? Like I've been saying last time, this looks very, very good. Some of these I don't potentially recognize. This one I recognize. Someone asked about United Health Group Incorporated. You just front run the 880. Like literally, I've even set an alert for this one because it was such a sharp drop. I wanted some shares of this because this is one of those quick moving ones. But yeah, front round completely the 886 and went higher. So I'm not in this right now, is what it is. But should we get a drop to 230 to 195, I would probably, as long as of course strength comes in, I would be looking to pick some of this up in my opinion, because this thing moves so quick. Yeah, to the downside it moves quick, but also to the upside it moves pretty quick, right? Marks and Spencers not doing much. Locally speaking, it's weak, locally speaking, but again, structure hasn't technically been damaged yet, so not the prettiest. It's average, right? It's mid. Tesla still looks fantastic, right? Any more pullbacks on this is a blessing in disguise, because look what has happened on Tesla. Like, as long as you're above that B point, that is, you're looking for a potential. Now, this is not for a bat, right? Typically a BAM, with what we call a bat action magnetic move, is specific to a bat, right? But in this case, what we're saying is, if the 618 is flipped, the next target is going to be, of course, the extreme. If that's flipped, it's going to be here. There's your PRZ, ABCD 1.272 of the 786, and of course the deep crab, or in this case a normal crab, 1.618, right? We've all broken out from the sort of downtrending supply line. So in fact, if I was to do this and pin this a bit better, something like this, that's definitely a breakout. And I could probably go and also do this, right? We've definitely had a breakout retest, right? You can see that. So Tesla, honestly, it's like, you can't be surprised, right? You can't be surprised after all this, again, period of uncertainty and consolidation is done. You can't be surprised if you wake up one day to see or rather you check back to the charts like a month later at some point, and you see Tesla's absolutely teleported to these PRZs. You can't be surprised, right? It's there in the charts. The structure's there, and we've been showered with opportunities to enter RR trades. Hopefully we get another one as well, because I do want to size up on my Tesla bag. But if we get another one of sort of these, right, as long as you do not lose that 618, basically, I'll just be looking to build positions on Tesla, in all honesty, right? Because as long as you're above this, in my opinion, at some point, this becomes a target. Now, Rolls-Royce is still just going up and up and up and up and up. I've already taken heavy profits on this one, but I didn't. This is not one I called, right? This is more. I gave it to some of my friends, but I didn't call this one publicly. But this one was insane. Like, this was actually insane what Rolls-Royce did. Because if I show you, honestly, sometimes stocks move so much. Not even sometimes. Many times stock moves so much better than charts. Look what it did. 618886, right? That is your deep crab. Oh, sorry, deep godly, right? Deep godly to a smiley face. There's your smiley face right there. Cumulative structure, boom, straight up, right? Peak thing is, one of my friends, he actually works for Rolls-Royce, right? So he gets paid. I told him, like, when we were talking about it at the start, when he first got it, I was like, you should see if you can get some of your payments in stocks instead of instead of straight up in cash, because that's gonna be nicer for taxes, and of course stocks tend to appreciate, and Rolls-Royce itself as a basis for a company does really, really well. They're in many things, right? He did it. And then he just let go of his bag way too early, way too early, right? But yeah, this thing absolutely rallied from 2023. Insane rally on. 1,604%. Coinbase, let's take a look. Rated all-time highs, back down, right? Not surprising, but again, trend is to the upside. Is this Livermoring? Good old Livermore pivots. Do this somewhere around here, probably for Coinbase, honestly. I mean, I've not got any horizontals yet. Just in terms of diagonals, wouldn't be surprised if this got hit. There's going to be other horizontals here I've not put down, right? Just being lazy with it. I'm not looking for any entries on Coinbase right now, so I'm not going to do it. But if anyone does want entries on Coinbase, let me know. I can do like a chart up and send it to your way. Someone was mentioning BlackBerry, so I'm still keeping an eye on it, given how low it is. Still a good area to buy just straight up shares, in my opinion, for BlackBerry. That's a smiley face. That's a smiley face right over there. BlackBerry looks good, honestly. It's at an area of, if you ever reclaim that, BlackBerry could run. Hood, damn, Hood's absolutely ran. Crazy, insane run. What's this? Must have been for log. Yeah, it would have been for log, but that's an old chart. Let's get rid of that. It's a shame you never got the reclaim for this particular accumulation zone. That would have been lovely. Front run the reclaim here, but yeah, no, there's nothing to do with Hood here. I don't care about this anymore. Let's take a look at Webull instead. Couldn't get above. The entry trigger was always get above the mid. We never got above the mid, so no entries on this yet. But we could be approaching a nice area for entries. In fact, if anyone wants to buy some Webull, basically around this zone here, right? This were to fill on Webull, that's where I look for some entries on this. But yeah, so that's update. Like I said, big ones, Neo and Lemonade, absolutely killing it for the stock portfolio, the stock challenge account. And apart from that, Estee Lauder, LAC, Ehang Holdings, all of these look really good. Tesla, keep an eye on that as well, right? And BlackBerry, that's another one that looks good. Another one I quickly want to go over, because I've seen loads of people post about it in Twitter, is Rivian. Okay, so let's take a look at Rivian, because the things I was seeing on Twitter, yeah, it does look good. So I don't think I've done any prior TA to this. So let's take a look at it. Okay, that does look pretty damn insane, I can't lie. I've seen a load of people post about it on it seems like everyone's talking about Rivian in Twitter nowadays. It's just what to do over here. Let's do a linear first. Let's take a look. So first things first, if you're looking for a more local trade, I'd put stop losses 10%, 11, 12%. I mean, your stop loss here is going to be completely dependent on your risk tolerance. If you want a tie one, I'd put it below just local like this, right? Anywhere between 5 to 7% basically, right? If you want a bit wider, you're wanting to account for more historical deviations, that takes you up to 12%. But realistically, I don't really think it matters, because your targets are. This thing has got legs, bro. It's got insane legs. Like the one thing I hate about charts like this is it gives you so much hope, right? There's always going to be that part of you like, oh, we're gonna take those highs out. I don't think it's gonna happen anytime soon, but it looks insane. Like it's accumulating for sure. Right? Look, aggressive sellers are not being rewarded here anymore, right? You're putting higher highs and higher, well, not higher highs and higher lows per se, but you're not making lower highs, right? Or rather, you're not making lower lows, even off the back of lower highs, right? So there is accumulation going on here. And the first thing people say every time they see this is they'll say, oh, there must be a raid. It doesn't always need to lead to a raid, like never. Aggressive sellers here, again, we're not rewarded, right? So I think what I'm going to do on Rivian, right? I'm going to do this on my main account. I'm just going to start buying shares. My invalidation trigger is, if we go and start losing $10, I will just cut. But otherwise, I'm just gonna buy shares here. Honestly, I might actually just put some in my long-term ports. Have some in limit orders for 10 and 8, and with the remaining just manually just DCA, like just do manual DCAs over time, because this looks too good, right? I don't want to faff about trying to get a high RR trades on this. I don't want to trade this. Like, I don't typically trade stocks. I just buy it because I believe in the fundamental value of the company. It's completely different to crypto in a sense, right? Rivian looks good here. I know they do like a lot of things for cars, right? So I think Rivian looks good. I don't even need to do any strict TA. You could just look at the structure, like intuitively, right? If you've been in the markets long enough, you know when you look at something, this looks good. Rivian is giving me that. Last time something like that happened was XRP, right? Because we know what the higher time frame structure of XRP was like. So there's all of this that at some point is probably going to go and get ran, right? So Rivian looks good. I'm putting this in my long term, right? Don't think of this as a trade. Think of it as an actual investment. I'm putting this in my long term bag. I'm going to start building a position on Rivian for now. This looks good. You're above your 200-day exponential average. One sec. Let me just quickly check. Inputs, right? So I've got MA2, MA1, MA2, MA3. This is on the weekly. I might switch to the daily, but so I've got the 50. MA2 is orange. Okay, no, so that is the 50-day moving average, and then the 200-day moving average should be in the black, but that's not showing up for whatever 200-day average. So let's go to the daily. Probably come up there. There we go. Yeah, this looks good. You're above all your. That looks good, man. Honestly, that looks really good. That looks insane. Everything you've got your cross. So 50s above, right? You're above your 200. You're above your yearly 365 moving average too. I believe that's the blue, right? So MA3. Yeah, MA3. That's Rivian looks good, guys. Honestly, I know many of you are simply traders, but if any of you have ever thought about getting into long-term investing, Rivian is one I would consider. Something to just slowly DCA into without much stress, right? And just watch over the years as returns pay out if it plays other way. If not, this is the least risky areas you could build a position. I'd rather you guys build a position over here than do it after a 200% move up, right? So if you're going to pull the trigger anywhere, it's going to be here. So in my opinion, Rivian looks good. Rivian looks really, really good here. Yeah, it's going into my long-term bag. I'll rotate some money around, maybe take some profits from the challenge accounts over as well. But this will probably be my next big share bag right over here. Rivian looks good. That looks really, really good. Yeah. Intellego. Yeah, I'll take a look at that, bro. Do you know what that is? Oh yeah, no, I think it was you, bro, Adam. Yeah, who mentioned Sun. Okay, yeah, I'll take a look at that, bro. One sec. On ADBE now, it's into a scalp on Oracle today. ADB, okay. Holding the LAC, nice. Boeing engines, yeah. Yeah, I know Ponzi was one of the people talking about it. Nexus was talking about it. Like a load of people was talking about it on Twitter. I was like, okay, everyone's talking about it. I've never actually looked at the chart before, so let's take a look at it. Look, it looks good. So yeah, Rivian. I'm gonna look at some of that. Let's take a look at this. Is that literally just? Do I just type in Intellego into TradingView? Stocks at. I'm guessing it's this. Damn. Right, well, I definitely wouldn't buy it. I wouldn't recommend buying this. I mean, you're easy liquidity in my opinion if you buy here. I mean, I'm not gonna say, yeah, it could go up higher, but there's no risk management. Is this the right one before electronic technology? I'm guessing it is. The Getex one. One sec. Let's take a look. Right, what's the difference between this and this then? What are the different numbers representing? 1892 versus like 205. But it's the same like logo, so I'm guessing it's showing you the same. Hey, what's the difference between these two? €18, okay. Oh, okay, yeah, I got you. Oh, wait, yeah. I'm blind. Yeah, makes sense. Okay, so since this is more data, I'll just keep an eye on it based on this one. Okay, let me get rid of this. But I mean, if you're in, bro, like congrats, like it's huge. But you can't do anything with this. If you're looking to get in, I would not recommend getting in here. Not because I don't think the project's going to do well or the company's going to do well, simply because if you're wrong massively. It's like you have no edge here, right? There's nothing you can do. But that's an insane move up. Yeah, insane move up. In fact, oh, nice move up even over the last 2 days. Are they doing like, are they releasing like a load of products that are really selling out, or do you know what the reason is for the insane sort of move up on this? Okay. But yeah, no, that looks insane. I mean, it's a bit too late for any new entries. It's what it is. There's better opportunities. I wouldn't enter this. I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole, because you start foaming into candles like this. That's what nightmares are made of, right? It could go higher, it could not. Versus, if you're wrong, it's going to be disastrous. So this is not something we just sort of applaud from the sidelines and just. If it does insane numbers, we just sort of watch it do insane numbers in awe, right? It's one of them ones. Like there's no entry to be had here, not until you get some sort of like swift pullback, big ones. So I'm personally not going to be adding this to my portfolio, but that is an insane move up. Congrats, bro, on your position. It's a huge move up, yeah. But yeah, no, the one that has got again something like this for those that are wanting a good risk to reward opportunity right now. Rivian is really, really good. BlackBerry is really, really good, right? In terms of that. Although Rivian looks better because Rivian's above everything, right? BlackBerry isn't. Tesla, right? Should we get that pullback? Like just local levels. As long as above your 618, remember? Tesla's good. Ehang Holdings, that still looks fine. LAC, that looks fine. Unity, that is something to watch. NIO, right? Even though it's had a move up, I think it can still go higher, but I'd be looking for some. I'd be looking to see what kind of reaction we get around the $10 mark whenever we get there, right? To that 200-day MA, and Lemonade. If we get a retest of that, supply line, that'd be a beautiful entry on this before it rallies higher again, in my opinion. So a load of stock. So next time we stream, which is probably going to be again tomorrow afternoon maybe, right? Because Sunday evening I'll need to get some things done. So maybe tomorrow afternoon / evening, we'll get a stream done and we'll go over all coins then instead, right? But I just wanted to do this stream today because I guess it's been ages, right? We've been really pushing through with the actual, like, you know, the sessions, right? Course finished, like I said, 2 sessions left of advanced, so that's been the priority. And outside of that, of course, I've had to travel a lot this month, and I'll be away traveling for the next quarter as well. So due to that, I've been less active with streams. But like I said, I'm still gonna have my laptop when I'm in Asia from next week. So 1 stream a week minimum, but I'll try to get at least 1 done a week. But if I have more time, we'll get like 2, 3 done, right? If it's crazy, like short, quick streams, just quick updates, so on and so forth, so that we can still keep on top of everything in case anything crazy goes on. I don't want to miss any opportunities. Yeah, I'll go through DMs by Sunday. I'll go through everyone. So I've got a load. I've had so many people reach out. I've had so many people reach out asking me to be analyst for that. Obviously, like I told you guys, I'm not going to be a new analyst anywhere else, right? I'm going to stay in AR because, you know, I came up in AR, right? In terms of like trading crypto, I'm not going to leave AR. I've got good friends there. Going to stay in Unity because again, Unity, so you know, Unity is a place that took me in when my name in the scene was fairly new, right? And you know, I've got some again good connections Unity, so I'm going to stay in Unity. But apart from that, it's like everywhere else, nah. I'm not going to join any new groups. I'm not going to. Not until, like, you know, I revalue everything anyway. Oh, so an update on the fund, right? An update on the fund. What we're going to do is, my friends still need to get their licenses, right? So I don't want to just open a fund where I'm some rando behind a screen just trading, clicking buttons. Of course, it's going to be that, right? But we want to do this properly. If we want to bring in like extremely high value people. So right now, of course, the minimum entry is 100,000, right? We're only taking institutional grades. We have what's the word? We have loads of interest for it. But what I'm telling my friends is, look, I can if we open this right now, it'll pretty much be a one-man show because I'll be running everything, right? So I'm going to be doing the pitch deck. I'm going to be doing the actual trading for it. My friends, I'm completely in charge of the hedge fund side. My friends haven't got their licenses yet, right? So because they've just started, my friends back in Hong Kong now, they're going to start their one's just started the other day. Another one's going to start from sometime in September. So at this particular point, if I'm going to be just fronting anything anyway, the way I see it is I don't want to take anyone else's money. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm simply just going to, so for example, things like the challenge account, right? This is like a public track record of, you know, not just like, you know, hiding behind pianos, but actual dollar amounts, right? Pre-given trades, pre-given sort of strategies, like, you know, conditions, like this is your entry, this is your invalidation, so on and so forth. I want at least 5 years of that, right? I'm going to do it with my own money. I'm going to do it with just like, you know, different challenge accounts over time, just grow them. Hopefully by the time 2030 rolls around, right? Hopefully, well, I mean, not hopefully, it's definitely going to happen. By the time 2030 rolls around, all my friends will have all their required licenses. They'll both be chartered. They will have CFAs. They will have everything done. My friend also needs to have a lot of different licenses on top of a CFA, right? Because if you want to be trading securities, if you want to be trading leverage, all of those require different licenses, so different things you need to go through. So it's going to take a little bit of time for that. So I said, look, I know we've got interested parties right now, but for now, what I said was, I'm just not going to take anything. We'll get together with all the people that have shown interest, right? The people, because it's been minimum 100,000, right? Clearly, it's people with money. Like when people are trying to invest that much, you can't just treat it lightly. So what I said is, I'll do a meeting. I'll explain to everyone, look, like, we appreciate your support and the fact that you want to get in, but due to these reasons, I think not for our sake, but literally for your sake, right? Like if I wanted to, I could be greedy and just say, yeah, give me your money, we'll start trading with it, and I'm going to take so and so commission and just getting along with it. It's easy to do that, right? But since I want to do everything properly, and also I don't want it to just be a one-man show for like a large time where only it's me trading and the other side of the business isn't doing much, which is going to be the property side of things. I said, I'll just trade in my own account for now. We'll use that to show the long-term equity trend in like 5 years time, 6 years time, so on and so forth, and then we can go in and we can really start being like, okay, minimum 6 figures, like in a minimum 100k, 150k, so on and so forth, pitch deck with actual publicly proven, publicly traded accounts, right? So I'm just gonna take this challenge account, grow it to as big as I can for the next 5 years, basically, since I already started it anyway, might as well. And then after that, in about 2030's time is when we go with the big people. So it's pushing it back a tiny bit. So for now, I'm just going to be trading with my own money. We're still doing things for it in the sideline, right? This doesn't mean I'm not opening the hedge fund. It just means that the actual big open, when we take in a load of liquidity from everyone, that's going to be slightly later than, like, let's say, like Q4 of this year. That was the original plan. But my thinking is, if we don't even have a qualified CFA by the time we're doing that, we just look like a bunch of scammers, right? And that's not the way I want to come across. So that's why I just say, look, I'm just not open to taking any money right now. I'm just going to trade in my own, and then after. My friend's chartered engineer, chartered actuarial scientist, and also the other friend's got the CFA and all the licenses required, and we have a publicly proven track record with my personal assets that I actually want to show, right? I don't want to disclose my assets to the world, so I'm just going to take this challenge account that I've actually made public, and I'm just going to grow it. I'll open a few more in the future as well. I'll keep doing it, and then after that is when I'm really going to go ahead, right? But until that time, I'm just going to lock in, right? Just do my own thing, lock in, and we're still like, doing like the actual paperwork of everything, making sure the license is set up, making sure we're getting our, we're getting the property in Hong Kong. We're still doing that. It's just the actual big investments in the fund that's going to be a bit later than planned. So I thought I'd update you guys because I know a few of you have expressed interest in wanting to get in, but I'm just going to be doing it slightly later than what the original plan was because I want to do it properly, right? I don't want to rush it just for the sake of opening another hedge fund and taking commissions, right? If I wanted to do that, I could, but that wouldn't be genuine of me, right? And I want to do it genuinely. So for now, I'm just going to be holding it off until my friends get their licenses, and then we're just going to roll it through from there. Right. But anyway, that was it for this stream, guys. I need to get some rest. I've had hardly any sleep last night. But tomorrow, either in the afternoon or in the evening, at some point, we'll get an altcoin stream done as well, right? Just go if you guys want to make it easier. Maybe like make a list of a few alts you want to go over. Don't spam me. Like maybe like one each or two each or something like this, and then we'll go over everything outside of our. Go to the main ones, look for some setups, go outside. Take some actual. What's the word I'm thinking of? Damn, my brain is melting. Recommendations, right? Or requests. That's Jesus Christ. Requests. Take some requests as well from you guys, and then we'll get that done some point tomorrow. All right. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this session. It's been a while. I wanted to update over everything macro, go over some stocks today, because everyone's depressed about crypto, right? Let's look at the things that are really moving, which is the stocks. Like I said, markets work in liquidity rotations right now. Liquidity is going into gold, commodity, and stocks, right? NEOs are 2x, right? From when we originally talked about it, when I originally called this, lemonades up really nicely. So it's just, rotation. Also, like I've been saying, if it wasn't clear enough this stream, do not hesitate to open leverage shorts, right? Do not hesitate to hedge. Do not hesitate to hedge. Okay. Remember, I always say there's times to be really aggressive, there's times to be defensive. We've been defensive for a few months, and right now, when we were originally defensive, we weren't even looking that bearish. Right now, we look like we could have some sort of flash crash. Like, we wouldn't be surprised if we got some sort of flash crash based on the PA we're getting right now. So if you see a high RR opportunity to take some shorts, right, to get as close to delta neutral as possible, do it. Okay. So that's going to be it from me, guys. I'm going to end this here. I'll also put this up into YouTube, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. So those of you doing the advanced of Velo charts, we're going to do that, get that done sometime in the morning tomorrow, and we'll also get the altcoin stream done in the afternoon or the evening sometime tomorrow. Okay, but from me, that's going to be it. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed this stream. Love, yeah, no, it's my pleasure, guys. It's my pleasure. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Yeah, I will see you guys tomorrow morning. So I'll close the recording.